And we're back. This is Investing Insights with Barry Burnett. I'm your host, Barry Burnett. We are talking here on Talk Radio 790 KABC with our excellent expert on escrow, Scott Akerley, the CEO of Pango Group. That's pangogroup.com. And Pango means trust. Scott, what do we have to be cautious about, and how trusting does the public need to be in their escrow process?
Well, I think more than ever, there's a lot with cyber theft and some things that are happening in the real estate escrow industry that they need to be concerned about the type of companies and who they're working with.
What's the deal with cyber theft, and why does that make everybody's hair stand up on end?
Well, I kind of think of a story that a seminar we were just recently at where a brother and sister team were arrested for identity theft. And in that conversation, they were saying, why are you doing this? And they said, well, our parents were bank robbers and they pulled out a gun and they're in jail for years. I do this and not very much happens to me.
Whoa.
And so criminals are turning to how can they do things white collar or with identity theft and cyber theft. And you hear about it all the time with Target and different things that are happening.
So you're an entrepreneurial investor. You've worked all your life. You've gathered all of your material. You've heard about everything that's happened with the robbery of cloud storage information and hacking that's just been going on with Target and the major stores and Home Depot. And you go into escrow, and escrow has to manage very, very sensitive materials. So why have the rules changed in the last couple of years, and how did it come about?
Well, part of the financial reform under Dodd-Frank, they created an agency through that process, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB.
Okay. Christopher Dodd, who's since retired, and Barney Frank, who's since retired, got together and created a bill that was 2,982 pages. It created 33 federal agencies, 150,000 minimum federal jobs, and did absolutely nothing for protection of the consumer except regulation. But some of those regulations really impact us. How did this, what agency took the forefront?
For this, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, did for real estate. And basically the agency was about protecting consumers. And so they're looking from college loans to credit card companies to real estate loans.
Okay. So this was that spearhead that was designed to actually protect consumers. So what they did was they made a few rules, right?
I have an 1,800-page document of rules we're trying to comply with.
Okay, you're trying to comply with 1,800 pages. That's for free, and the consumer never feels that, never touches it, never sees it. But you've been working, haven't you?
We've been spent the last year and a half going through it and creating processes that protect it. And basically what this did is it made banks responsible for their vendors. And so every bank in America is looking at how do we become responsible for our vendors. They fined one of the banks $200 million for what their vendors were doing. So banks are turning around to title companies and escrow companies and all of their vendors and saying, how do we work together to protect consumers?
Now, in California, we have escrow companies. In many other states, they run under different regulations and rules where a licensed attorney owns a small branch of a title company and they perform services of escrow within those services. Yeah. But you're an independent escrow company. You have attorneys on staff, but it's not an attorney-driven company. So how do you comply? How did you choose to comply with CFPB, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau?
Well, we joined ALTA, American Land Title Association's organization, that we have a network of people throughout the country that have been working together with banks and with the CFPB to create the actual guidelines of what this looks like in a day-to-day escrow title company.
So to boil it down, for the application of your escrow, you had to implement a lot of things.
Yes.
And spend a lot of money, I'm sure.
We've spent several $100,000 going through the process. And one of the things is just protecting. One of their big issues is making sure NPPI, non-public private information, which is for a consumer, it's credit cards, driver's license, social security numbers, those are protected.
Non-public private information and data. What did you have to go through to do that?
We basically have spent the last year and a half working with auditors. It's called a SOX compliance, that we're going through every single practice in the entire organization to making sure it's the best practice available to protect consumers. And at this point, there are 30 companies that our auditors know of in the entire nation that have actually passed this. And we've gone through our pre-audit, finished that in approval, and now we're in our final audit to get our SOX compliance.
Now, we have millions and millions of transactions each and every month in California and the Western United States, let alone the entire United States. And you're talking about only 30 companies that actually comply?
30 companies that have actually passed the SOX audit, which, for us, that's a $50,000 audit to bring a company in to audit all of our practices from top to bottom.
Oh, gee, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is somehow protecting the clients from and the entrepreneurial investors from cyber theft. You've had to divide a whole lot of different procedures within your company. What did you do?
Well, from the smallest things of just looking at new technology like copiers, that's got a hard drive in it. Companies used to they didn't have a hard drive in it before, they'd get rid of it. Now they have a hard drive in it. What we found is that people were actually breaking into copier companies and would steal thousands of documents from that. So we had to get every copier now that we dispose of, we pull out the hard drive, shred it to make sure that doesn't happen.
Whoa. It sounds like a little thing, but it's not a little thing at all.
Not a little thing at all. Watching through from trash cans, every single document that's got any information of a consumer on it, we put it in shredder boxes. And how do we protect the offices? Recently, there was an escrow company just in Los Angeles where someone pretended to be the shredder company that they had, walked into the office and took their shredder box.
Isn't that interesting? So they took a shredder box. Why?
They're looking for Social Security numbers, driver's license, things like that. There was recently a ring in Michigan. They were paying $1,000 for some of the loan applications to get copies of everybody's information.
And so they grab the loan application, and then they can get instant access into their accounts and rob however many things. And then some of these rings then resell that information to somebody else who can steal from their encrypted emails. Now, or non-encrypted emails, excuse me. You do something that we're going to talk about when we come back from this quick break. You do something that's extraordinary within your agency, and it is another level of protection that most people have never given a thought to. We'll be right back with more investing insights with Barry Burnett, making your investment portfolio stronger, safer, smarter.